Hey everyone, this is your girl SC BookGal 843, and it's another Tuesday night. So I'm bringing you a new author and a new book. Okay, so you guys, today's book hits kind of close. Well, it doesn't kind of. It does hit close to home for me. Okay, on October 9th was 4 years since I lost my mother to cancer, and the book we're going to be talking about is going to be about grief. Okay. So I have an author that is here from Columbus, Ohio. Now, Columbus, you get 4 seasons in one day. Believe you me, I've been there and been through it and will never do it again. Okay. So she is going to talk to us about her book. Okay, you guys? I am so excited to have her here with us. And we are going to be talking about the book Dealing with Grief. Okay. So without further ado, I am going to bringing up author I am saying it wrong, but it's Kiera Holt. Y'all know I'm bad with names. Don't act like y'all don't know. Y'all know I'm terrible with it. But charge it to my head, not my heart. My heart, not my head. Charge it to the bad one, okay? Because it's like I'm no harm. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. But come on up, girlie. Come on up.
Hello, it is pronounced Kia.
Patrice, you should know
Yes,
that. But
I
how
am
are
excited to
you?
be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for being here with us. So, before we go any further, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am Kia Holt, living in Columbus, Ohio, as you said, and just excited. I'm a military kid, so I've lived in all the different seasons and most of the. Actually, I think I've hit all the not all the time zones in the United States. I'm missing Hawaii. I got to get to Hawaii, but we even lived in Alaska for a while, and so I am so had the opportunity to move around the United States and go and visit different countries. So I like to travel and I work a full time job. I'm also a founding pastor of Covenant Believers Community Church. Whoop, whoop. Celebrating 9 years. So next year will be our 10-year anniversary, which is so exciting. I know. And I guess I
Congratulations.
didn't have enough to do, so I started writing books.
Because y'all already asked her, how do you do it all?
I don't know, but by the grace of God. I graduated with my Master of Divinity a couple years ago. So I was working full time job pastoring and then decided to go to and get another master's degree.
Whoa,
So
hold on, hold on, hold on now. Hold on. When did you sleep?
it was rough sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I would go to bed sometimes at after 11. And then, so I do all my ministry work in the morning. So when I get up in the morning, that's when I'm working on my sermons and Bible study. So I get up at about 5 or 5:30. When I was in school, I was getting up at 5 and then get ready, do my 9 to 5. And then after that, it was at that time going to school. And so it was busy, So I tried to I just really only had Sunday afternoons to myself. So it was a
Oh,
lot of work, but I knew it was for a temporary situation.
understandable, understandable. So, that military life, let me ask
Hmm.
you a question.
Okay.
What was your favorite place to live?
I think Germany because I was in Germany from age 9 to 12. And it was because we lived on the border of Germany and Austria. So we went to Austria all the time. It was like 15 minutes to get to Austria. We did a 2 week train trip where we went to all these different countries because there's so, Europe, you get places faster than you do in the United States. And so we always had all these experiences, and we would go into Germantown. I learned about exchanging money. So I used to watch the exchange rate so I can exchange from dollars to Deutschmarks. And so it was an awesome experience. And I'm glad I was old enough to remember all of that.
Awesome. Now I have to ask that question. Now, one more question about your past.
Uh-huh.
How did you get used to living in Alaska and it being dark all day long? Or
You
no, or
know,
is it sunlight all day long? Which one was
both,
it?
both.
Oh,
So we
wow.
were in Fairbanks. So Fairbanks is only about 3 months. Some of the extreme places are to 6 months. I'll tell you the fun thing. So I was in Alaska as a teenager, and the fun thing was 10 o'clock at night playing softball because it was still like dusk, so it was still light enough you could see. That was the fun thing. Here's something interesting, little tidbit. What they would do for the kids who were younger, they would put aluminum foil on the windows to block the sunlight so the kids would go to sleep. But the nighttime was weird because it was pitch black when you go to school, and then it would get fairly not light, but not even dusk, maybe twilight or something, around 10 or 11. But by the time you get out of school, it is back pitch black. So it was really, that's a lot of depression there, a lot of alcoholism because of all of that. But as a kid, the daytime thing was awesome. The nighttime thing, you just kind of got used to it. But it is, I thought it was a great experience. I would have graduated high school from there, except my mother got sick and we had to come back to the lower 48 is what they call it. So we had to come back over here so that she could get care. But my brother graduated high school from Alaska. Yeah. It was
Okay, that's that's something.
I
So,
yeah.
what made you? Okay, y'all, that's Mike Ichi came straight out. What made you? What made you want to become an author?
I always knew I would write. So one of the things in Germany, we didn't have a lot of things to do. I think that's where my artistic side kind of came out. So I had my own little, didn't even know what to call it, but I used to have my own radio show back then. And so I used to have my brother come on. So I had my little cassette tape and I would record him and I'd make him be my guest. So I could ask him questions. And then if he didn't want to act right, I'd have to do my own guest and I'd change up voices and I'd interview myself. And so that's where I started reading. And I just read everything I could get my hands on, including things I shouldn't have been reading, to be honest. And so as I continued on in life, I was always writing. I wrote for the newspaper. I did this, the yearbook. So I did a couple poems really when I was dealing with my mother's illness. Wrote a lot of poems then. But I always knew I would write a book. I did not think I would write books. So that part was a surprise, but I think in Germany was where the creative side of me began to develop.
So, how many books do you have under your belt right now?
I have 3,
Oh,
all
she was ready. She was
2025,
ready. All of them written in this year?
all this year.
Congratulations, my sweetheart.
Ooh, I know, like, wow.
Now, y'all, I'm about to bring up her book cover. Y'all know how I am with my book covers. Y'all know. I am a cover girl. If your book draws me through a cover, there's a good chance I'm going to read it. Okay? So, y'all ready for this one? Here.
Um, Okay, so I'm glad you picked up on a transition. That's what this is about. That's why there's a butterfly. So I have to give a shout out to my friend Shelby. She was the one initially was working on my book cover. So dealing with grief and how to move beyond it. I initially wanted an androgynous person running across the book cover. And as they were running, I wanted them to transition away from dark gray and blue to transition into joy, to, moving beyond the grief. But she and I were talking one time, so we met at the gym, and so she hadn't shown me anything, and she said, "Okay, I want to tell you about the book cover." She said, "I know you had an idea about it, but I've been working on something, and I was thinking about a butterfly." And I was like, "Okay." So we switched into another part of the workout, and I kept in my mind going, and I said, "You know what? A butterfly represents change." And if you're going to deal with your grief and move beyond it, that involves change. So I said, I like it. And so she got busy with people who paid her a lot more money than I was offering. And so I ended up going and getting a different designer, but I stuck with the butterfly. And so I told him my vision of what I wanted, and he came up with the half and half because we start out, grief hurts. Like you and I both lost our mothers to cancer, and that's not an overnight process. You're watching this person change. You're watching this person as they're transitioning, from life to death. And so I wanted the book to represent that with the color. So when I look at it, that's what it represents to me. But what I don't want any of us to do is to stay in a point of grief, to get locked into that. And so my prayer for everyone is that, and if the book helps them to do that, I that would be an honor, honestly. But for us to move beyond and understand that we're still alive, we're still here, that means that we still have work to do. And so for us not to get stuck in the state of grief, but to move beyond it.
You know, that's funny because my aunt called me, and she always does this. She calls each one of us, me and my two sisters, and she was like crying. You know, I'm thinking about your mom. I said, she in a better place than us. I mean, we got to deal with what's going on down here. That boy up there partying all day long, you know.
Hmm.
And I have friends who say, Trish, you make light of the situation. No, I have my moments, but I mean, really, would you want your family member down here suffering?
Mm-mm.
So
No.
that's how I always look at it.
And that's exactly right, because I watched my mother, and I'll go ahead and tell you one of the things I put in the book. And I shared this with people even before I wrote the book, and they, were very judgmental towards me. But I prayed for my mother to die, because at the end of her life, we were crunching up pain pills so that they can get in her system quicker. Nothing that was given to
Mm.
her helped her. She was in immense pain. The cancer had metastasized in her body, and she was just really struggling to breathe. She had no quality of life. She's stuck in a bed. She's, like I said, in constant pain. So as a Christian, why would I want you to stay in that state? For me, I was 18, my brother was 20. And my parents had us in high school. My mother was 35 when she died. My dad was 37. So we were a young family, and my mother was diagnosed with the cancer initially, almost 10 years before then. So for her to deal with the cancer, go in remission, deal with the cancer, go in remission, and when it came back this time, it came back with a vengeance. So it got to the point where I knew that God would heal her in heaven. I knew that when she got to heaven, she was not going to be hurting, she was not going to be suffering, she would not be struggling to breathe. And I knew that even though I was going to hurt, I was going to cry, and it was going to be hard, but I knew that I was going to be okay, because I was also saved. And so I knew that I know I will see my mother again. But it was, to me, it is selfish to say, I want you to stay in a constant state of pain just so that you're still here for me, when I know that the greater is for you on the other side.
You know what? And that's the same conversation, you guys, I had with my daughter. My daughter is now 10, so she was about 7 when my mother died. And she knew, she saw it all. They went through the process. All of her grants were there. And I'll never forget her. One Saturday, we went to her house. So we knew that it was going to be close because she got up all her energy and she came and sat in the front room and had all her grands around her, except the oldest one, which is my son. He was at work, but she had all the little ones around her. And she's saying, yes, Jesus loves me. She talked to them about listening to their mom and their dad. And she kissed all of them, tell them she loved them. And then she played her song, Waymaker.
Mm,
And me and my sisters knew, okay, this, all right, yo, this is getting kind of okay. Go
yeah.
play, kids, because we didn't know how to handle it, but we knew what she was doing. She was preparing them. But you know what? They did very. They were great. I won't say they were good because everybody did go through counseling.
Hmm.
But my daughter's like, I'm happy. Granny's in a better place. Granny's with Auntie Brittany, which was my sister who passed away. Yeah, Auntie Brittany just needed somebody to be with her.
Oh,
I was like, you was an old lady. But
it is
it was
old school.
little old lady. Yeah, Granny just wanted to be with Auntie Brittany. I'm like, you know, old lady, go someplace. But it made so much sense. But there were other individuals who I felt the same way, the opposite of how you were feeling. They wanted her to stay.
Yeah,
They were praying, "Oh God, heal her," and I'm like, it's not that I don't want my mother to be here. It's just that I don't want her to suffer.
exactly.
yeah, you see this pain, you see it, you see them just not being their self, they're a shadow of a body. So I totally understand.
Yeah.
So my next question to you would be, who should read your book?
So I think so. One, grief. Most of the time, I've run into people who say, "Oh, I'm not dealing with grief right now. I don't need that." Well, here's the thing: either one, you've experienced it; two, you're going to experience it, or you already have. Grief doesn't play favorites, and it hits all of us. And that's just the truth of it. When God gave me this book, I didn't think I was grieving either. I was like, God, why are you giving me this book? I'm not grieving. I don't need to write this book. Uh, so we could talk about that part of it. But this book is for those who want to move beyond the state of grief, those who may be in active grief. And it's also an opportunity to remember our loved ones. So to say anybody dealing with grief is kind of shortcoming because one of my friends, shout out to him, he just went through a divorce and he read the book. And I love his story. He said he stayed up to 3 o'clock in the morning finishing the book. And he told me, he said, even though I'm not dealing with grief for the loss of a family member, I'm dealing with grief for the loss of a marriage. And he told me how the book helped him. So, no, it wasn't, so it was grief, period, not necessarily just for dealing with loss of a loved one, but he lost a marriage. And that was a huge part of his life and his identity. And so he talked about how the book helped him to move beyond that, how it helped him to recognize, like we talk about the 5 stages of grief and moving beyond that. Excuse me. And so I was like, wow, thank you so much for sharing that because it is about grief in general. You can lose a job, you could lose a pet. Some people grieve when they have to move from a house. Excuse me. So, grief in any aspect. I am a pastor. So, excuse me. I share with you, I just came back from vacation sick. But anyway, um, and so there are times that I do put my pastor hat on because I know
Mhm.
by faith this world is not the end for Christians. We will see our loved ones again.
There you go.
Excuse
So
me.
while we give her a chance to get some water, because everybody, y'all know what time it is, right? I told her back to see,
I was praying I
and
get
we
through this
about to do
without
some.
coughing.
It is, sweetheart, it is okay. It is okay. You are human. You are human. So go ahead, take a couple of sips. And
Yeah, I
I will
think I got it.
explain to you the fun question.
Okay.
So, our fun questions always deal with entertainment in the lines of music and actors, actress. I love music and I love movies and I love TV series. So, Lifetime say, we love your book. We would like to turn it into a movie,
Mm.
but you have to cast the leading male and the leading female. But they can only be 90s gospel artists.
Oh my gosh. I was rolling with you for a minute.
Until I put that time period, huh?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Gospel artists. My goodness. Okay, so I love Yolanda Adams. I'm not as tall as she is or as skinny as she is, but I love her power and I
Okay.
love her perseverance. So I say
Okay.
she can play me. Let's see. So for my father, so he was not necessarily a practicing Christian, so he'd be tough to pick. Um, God did allow me to bring him back to the Lord before he died. Hallelujah. Um, oh yeah, I do want to say my grief book is not just about my mother. It is my mother, my father, a breakup, a breakup, y'all. Y'all been through some traumatic breakups. Have mercy, Jesus. And a grandmother, great grandmother. Yeah, in the middle of losing my mother and my grandmother. But anyway, I digress.
Ooh.
So yes, a little juice in there, a little, yeah. Um,
She said little juice.
yeah, I would say, but you couldn't tell when I was engaged. But yeah, so we had to do, and the clean version of what I said was, uh, but gosh, I don't know. I have to be honest. For my dad and my brother, that could be a little tough. Grandmother, let's do. Well, I don't know. My grandmother would tell you about yourself, so maybe a Shirley Caesar for one of them. Uh, See, I would have picked Angela Bassett till you told me a gospel singer. So I
Oh,
don't
hold on now. You might need to use that later on because we still got two more
Oh,
questions.
okay, my bad, my bad. Okay, I
Okay.
don't know for my dad and my brother because my brother was still praying for his salvation. Praise God. Um, I don't know. I only got me and the grandmothers down.
Okay. So if I have to think a gospel artist that lives, I want to say lives on the edge, but has that universal appeal, if I can use it for lack of words, you
Mhm.
guys. So don't hold me to that. Ty Tribbett.
Yeah, I was thinking CC Winans. Ty Tribbett does as well. Kirk Franklin does. Yeah.
Yes. Only reason why I said Ty Tribbett because my daughter loves Ty Tribbett. Oh my
Okay.
God. Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And I was like, girl, if you can dance like that, then we can talk. But she can't.
You say we can
All
start
right,
making.
Lifetime said, thank you. We got all these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they were only going to be used for the soundtrack. But now we got to get the actors.
Okay.
Who would play you in your book?
I'm gonna say Angela Bassett. Off of
Angela
two of her
Bassett.
roles. So one of them in Waiting to Exhale was part of my breakup series. That was one of that had a lot to do during the breakup. Um, and I love her transition when she played Tina Turner, right? When you make that decision that you are no longer the victim, because I got tired of being identified as a girl whose mom died, the girl whose mom had cancer. I got tired of that identity because I said there's more to me than just that. And so there was a transition with Tina Turner, and there was a transition with Angela Bassett and Waiting to Exhale, right? She was
We
no
did.
longer the wife that, as Mary J. Blige say, sat by your side for 11 years. I was your secretary.
Mhm.
So no longer that, right? Going into an empowerment stage, and that was what my transition was. This is not who I was 18. You can't lock me into that identity at 18.
We can't.
You know,
I
I was like
can.
there. I don't even know who I'm going to be, but I knew it wasn't going to be the girl whose mom died. I wasn't. That was an aspect of my life, but I didn't want it to be my whole life. So I would say that for her because the roles that she played, and there was always a transition in it, and I like that.
That is true. Every role she has played has been some type of transition
Yep.
and always to empowerment.
Hmm.
Even in 911, y'all, I love that show, but this new 911 that got on, I can't deal with. Um, she
And
lost
I love that
Bobby.
she had what was the basketball player Fox, Rick Fox. You know, she went there with her son. I
Surely
can't think
did.
of the name of that one, right? And he helped to empower her. So all of that, I look at people, and because we should be ever evolving. I guess maybe that's where I'm going.
That is true because, I mean, there are 4 seasons, and I think we changed twice as much, you
I
know?
agree.
So,
Mhm.
all right. Lifetime said, all right, this is beautiful. We got you all settled. We're going to do the movie. But then, hi, this is Oprah Winfrey, and I want to give you the opportunity to write with your favorite author, your favorite pastoral author. Who would
Mm.
it be and why?
Okay, so let me say this. My favorite genre of book are murder mysteries, not
Yo, this
not
is
pastoral, but I'm being honest. I love to catch the murderers. Those are my favorite thing. I know I write nonfiction Christian. That's the next book I'm working, but I promise you, my favorite books. I got these lovely devotionals and all of this stuff, but I promise you, when I'm ready to curl up in my chair with my tea and my blanket, somebody died, and we gotta go.
She said somebody died. She
We
said
gotta go.
somebody. So if you had that opportunity, well, you know what? Let's strike that. If you had the opportunity to write a murder mystery with anybody, doesn't matter who it is, who would it be, and what would be the title?
Ooh, um, he almost got away.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Um, and that scene comes to me from The Color Girls with Frank. He almost got all my stuff. So the murderers always think they won't get caught, right? So he almost got away. Um, See, I read so many different authors. I'm in my mind, I'm thinking of all my favorite TV shows of which detectives and things. But I guess I would have to go with gosh, I just forgot her name. Her thing actually just got turned into a series on ABC, the Will Trent series. Oh my gosh,
We'll
I'm gonna
try.
have to look it up. Yeah, so I've read all of her books. Um, I'm gonna mess myself up because I'm really bad when it comes to the names of my authors.
Me too. Me too. Well,
But she has, Karen Slaughter. So she is one who I love. I like if it's an FBI book or CIA, all of that. I read all of that. If it's a police detective, but I am just into murder mystery. And so I used to read romance when I was in college. And now I'm just like, so nobody died. Like, what do we, it does not intrigue me. I've transitioned as well. Um, but I think I would like to write a short series of a cute little romance, but it would have to be like a short, like a couple short stories or something. I don't think I could write a murder mystery, but I like to read them.
well, maybe you could put the romance and the murder mystery together.
Because he almost got away.
Yeah. Kill him dead, kill him dead. No, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I bet you used to sit down there and watch Murder She Wrote, didn't
Absolutely.
you?
Look, the old school ones, Columbo, Murder She Wrote, Matlock.
Oh
Um,
God, not
Yeah, I
Matlock
know.
was
As they say,
nosy.
telling my age, right? In the last, I'll say 2 or 3 years, I got turned on to Perry Mason. Like that was in black and white. That is how old that one
Yeah,
is. But I was
not
just,
the
I mean, honestly, if somebody died, I got to help these people solve the murder. We got to go find the murderer.
Perry Mason. Oh Lord. My grandma used to sit up there and watch Matlock and Angela Lansbury. I told her, I said, somebody go kill them two because they're too nosy, especially Matlock. He's always
Look,
pop up out of nowhere. Like, what are you doing, man?
I would not be friends with Angela Lansbury because somebody around her always dies. She's not a good person to be friends with. Okay. I was like, no. Um,
That is true.
I think Columbo is probably one of my favorite detectives because he would always pretend like he was oblivious, didn't know what was going on, fumbling, bumbling detective, but he always got his man or woman.
There you go. See, I can only hit you with the In the Heat of the Night. I can sit up there and look at that
Uh,
all day long. And they even got a Roku channel for In the Heat of the Night, y'all. So 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep.
okay, that is so true, though. That is so true. It's always on.
Always. I love Roku for doing stuff like that. Let me stop. I digress. So, as we come to a close,
Mm.
can you please tell what would you like to say to your new readers, old readers, and up and coming readers? What would you like to say to them?
I would like to say I wrote a book called this is for my church people, okay? Those who go to church. You take all your sermon notes in one little book, right? And so because I also had to add other stuff in there. So one, you take your notes every Sunday, and then at the end of the month, I have a thing to help you reflect over your pastor's sermons over the last month. And then I also give you something. I'm really big on spiritual growth, right? Transition. If you'll see that about me, I'm really big about transition. And so every month I have a question in there for you to think about for your spiritual growth. And then at the end of the year, once you've completed that whole year, I give you some more stuff. So there's that sermon notebook. And then, of course, you mentioned my book, Dealing with Grief and How to Move Beyond It, and published in the last 2 weeks. But God, this
Wow.
is the journal that goes with it. So this journal evolved more than I thought that it would. I thought initially I was just going to take a couple of the chapters from the book, give you something, journal prompts, blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't going to include all the chapters. And then I would hear from people those who had already read the book of what resonated with them. And I was like, oh, so I need to include all of the chapters. And I added some others from some of the feedback that I got from people. And I am working on another book. So, what I would like
Oh.
you to know is stick with your girl. We are doing big things, okay? Uh, so, one of the things that, like I said, I talk a lot about spiritual growth. I talk about evolution. I talk about growing and evolving. So, 5 years ago, did I know that I would be doing all of this? No. Like I said, I knew I would write a book. I did not know I would write books. So, that was something that just kind of came out of the blue. So I don't know all the types of books I'm going to write, right? I'm listening to the Holy Spirit because here's the thing. So when I got ready to write a book, this is not the book that I was working on. I was listening to a webinar that teaches you how to write books. And God said, dealing with grief and how to move beyond it. And I said, no, I'm not grieving. What are you talking about? So I've got multiple screens. Right? So I've got this guy up here and I'm listening to the webinar. God said it again, dealing with grief and how to move beyond it. So I was like, okay. And he gave me the first 5 chapters. So I was like, whoa. So I still haven't written the book that I was working on initially. So I don't know all the books I'm going to write or all the things I'm going to do. I'm just going to listen to the Holy Spirit and follow him. So follow me as I follow Christ, as Paul said.
So now, since we're talking about follow you, how about you give us the rundown on social media and anything else that you may have coming up? How can we follow you?
Okay. So my YouTube page is pitiful. Y'all come help me out. Okay. Kia Hold. Go to YouTube. I am so low on followers and all of that. And I'm gonna do better with videos. But I am on YouTube. I am on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. I am on TikTok, and I'm on Threads. So one thing that I do, here's a reason you should follow me, is that I post something inspirational, either something to help you deal with grief, something I'm always tying it back to grief. Of course, as my books evolve, it'll be with that. But so
Mhm.
sometimes there are some people who may never buy my book, and that's okay. But what I hope that they get from the post is some encouragement to hang in there. There are gray days, right, for the book. There are days that are gray and dark, and you just feel like you can't go on. And I want to give you inspiration to tell you that there is hope. And so I make the post just to kind of encourage people throughout. I'm gonna try to do better with videos. I'm gonna do better with videos. That's my pledge. Uh, but most of the time, I'm like, I don't have time. But I will make
I understand. I totally understand. And you be all gotten home. I'm gonna do this video. Then you look like, oh man, hold up, I ain't got time for that, right? I
right.
totally understand.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just want to say that I'm excited. I thank you for this opportunity to come and share my story and pump up the book. And I pray honestly for anyone dealing with grief. I pray that you don't get stuck in that. There is hope on the other side. There still can be joy in your life. And so grief is a stage. One of the things I have in there is don't stay in the state you're in. You're in a state of grief, but don't stay in it. You talked about how your mother was preparing everyone to say goodbye. I have a chapter preparing to say goodbye. I never realized my mother was preparing to say goodbye to me until I wrote the book. So I had a
Oh
couple
wow.
revelations. Yeah. I didn't realize it until I was writing, and I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was just, preparing to say goodbye to her, and she was doing the same to me. So it's just that's all. It was a blessing for me. It was very cathartic. because as I was writing it was 5 years since my father passed. And so it was good to write about that and just to really prayerfully, hopefully help someone else.
So you guys remember, it's not always about losing someone. It's about losing maybe a job, an animal, something you had to let go and you're grieving over it. So don't think that this book is only for when a family member or someone you know has passed away. No, actually, grieving is a part of closure. So
It is. Right, because I have there's don't forget the breakup chapter. The breakup chapter is in there. And then I also had a friend who retired, and it brought on a state of grief for her because it was like, well, now what?
now, oh
So
yes,
so when she read the book and we talked about it, and she said, because grief is grief. And I said, you're absolutely right. And so even retirement can bring on grief. We think it's all exciting, but sometimes it's like, well, now what do I do?
absolutely right. So you guys go grab the book, and we're going to bring it up one more time for you all so you can see this beautiful book tonight. You guys, all their social media information is strolling at the bottom, so go give her some followers. I promise she'll do one video before 2025 go. Just
I
say one.
promise I'm gonna do better. I post. I do post. I mean, I'm gonna do better on videos though.
She does post. I have to admit, I've seen her posts, and I think I'm following you, or we might be already friends. But she does post. She told me, you ain't by yourself. I need to do the same thing. And I promise. I know y'all been saying this for how many years now? I promise.
As I always say, we're gonna make new life resolutions, not New Year's, because years change, but new life
Man,
resolutions. We're gonna do
we
better.
need to go to a New Year's resolution. I get through day one, and that's about it. I'm not even gonna fool myself this year.
That's why I
So
say, what do you want to do for your life? That's my pastor hat right there. New life resolutions.
there you go. Thank you for being with me tonight, Miss Holt. And you guys, like I said, go grab the book. Very, very, very much needed for everybody because we're all gonna lose something. So how about we just put this in our back pocket for our arsenal? Our arsenal. Trying to
Yeah.
learn some new words. But you guys, it's another Tuesday night. Make sure you join me next Tuesday. I'm going to be on the road. Okay, you guys. So I'm going to the South Carolina Library Conference. So I will be interviewing Melanie Joy, and we're going to be talking about her book next Tuesday, same time, 8 p.m. Again, thank you, Ms. Holt. And you guys remember, there's no such thing as an old book because not everybody has read every book. You guys have a great night. Bye.